Before we get started, Mark, what I'd like to say is that during the Selectmen's Monday night meeting on April 11th, I have been advised that I raised my voice to a higher degree than was acceptable, and that it appeared that I was very abrupt with some members of the Budget Committee. For that, I am truly sorry. Since there is pending court litigation between myself and Mr. Asiad, I feel very strongly that until all pending court actions between myself and Mr. Asiad have been resolved, I would request that the Vice Chairman or any other member of the Budget Committee present any concerns that the Board may have to both myself and the Board of Selectmen. Again, I am truly sorry for being abrupt and raising my voice, but that course of action was just out of pure frustration. Thank you. Mr. Paquette, if you wish to address the Board.
There was no offense taken at that. Do you want to address this, or?
I believe on the 11th you said that you would have answers relative to the purchase of the vehicle. So I'll just sit back and let you answer.
Okay. What I will do is that I will go into detail and describe what took place with the purchase of that. But then afterwards, I would request that if the Budget Committee has any further concerns or any other questions pertaining to anything with the Police Department budget, that the liaison from the Budget Committee either speak to the Selectman liaison or the liaison for department heads comes directly to the Police Department and sits down and speaks with me. Or even go one step further, if the full Board decides that they want more, then the Board can turn around and convene a meeting, request that I appear, and I will come in and speak to them. During the budget process, it was discussed on many occasions.
Pardon me one second, Chief. I would like to clarify something, if possible.
We are not discussing anything, Mr. Asiad, okay? Thank you
I'm not
very
discussing anything with you personally.
Excuse me, Mr. Asiad. During the budget process, it was discussed on many occasions on obtaining a four-wheel drive vehicle for the Police Department. This conversation was with the entire Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen. One of the main issues was whether the size of the fleet would be increased by adding the SUV. In mid-January, a list of all the department's vehicles was presented to the Board of Selectmen. It was determined that the old senior transport vehicle would be taken out of rotation and designated as the department's police detail cruiser. This vehicle had over 150,000 miles on it. This vehicle had no trade-in value at all. By using this vehicle for details only, it eliminated taking one of our newer vehicles out of service while being used for police details. By taking the detective's vehicle away from him, the 1999, which also had over 150,000 miles on it, and using it as one of our two trade-in vehicles, we would be able to add the four-wheel drive vehicle without increasing the total number of vehicles to our fleet. We have been operating with a total of 9 vehicles, 3 of which are used for senior transports for the past several years. On the morning of town meeting, the Board of Selectmen held its pre-town meeting session with the Budget Committee in the Selectman's office. Present at this meeting were all 3 Selectmen and several members of the Budget Committee. During this meeting, the Budget Committee went into one of the other offices, and the 3 Selectmen discussed some upcoming issues that would be discussed at town meeting. During that meeting, I mentioned to the other 2 Selectmen that I was going to amend the Police Department budget by raising it by $5,900 to include the purchase of the four-wheel drive vehicle. Chairman Boyle asked me if I had budgeted for Sergeant Baldwin's medical insurance, and I replied that I had. The cost of this medical insurance was $11,000. This was for a 2-member plan. This figure was arrived prior to finding out that Sergeant Baldwin could only obtain a single or family plan. Sergeant Baldwin opted to take the single plan, leaving $5,500 in the insurance line. The cost of all leased vehicles came to $30,951. We had budgeted $28,953, leaving an over expenditure of $1,998. It was determined that since there was a surplus of $5,500 in my insurance line, there was no need to increase the bottom line of the Police Department budget